and Matt might even find time to talk about the blast. This is the world's greatest podcast. No better place to talk about sports that are being played in Baltimore. Section 336. Section 336. Section 336. Section 336.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Baltimore sports fans of all ages, welcome to Section 336, next generation of Baltimore sports talk. I am your endearly stuttering host, Matt Soroka. As always, I'm joined by the button lover, Josh Soroka.
Hey, you get your Hawaiian shirt? I see a whole bunch of people complaining because they got vouchers for the Hawaiian shirts or something. You see that?
No, I didn't. My wife already has put my old Hawaiian shirt in the back of the closet, and she literally will not let me wear it in public if she is in that same location as well. So I'm sure another Hawaiian shirt would not have gone over well.
See, I have mine from last year or the year before sometime, and I've made sure to pack it to bring it to Florida with me because I believe it's a requirement. If you go to a road game, that's what you're required to wear as an Oriole fan.
Oh yeah, I think that's actually true. That's a good
there's
call,
somewhere in your Birdland membership that it requires that.
Yeah, I feel like I think all of my Oriole shirts are Oriole shirt giveaways, and 90% of them I feel comfortable wearing out in public any given day. I do not feel comfortable wearing my Hawaiian shirt unless I'm going to a baseball game.
I agree. I'm totally with you. The other shirt that I'm not comfortable wearing unless I'm going to the Oriole game is my Oriole jersey with my own name on the back. That seems a little strange. Though I guess I could get away with it in Florida and people would just believe Soroka is a player for the Orioles. Though I kind of want a jersey of the guy for the Braves because he's doing really well.
Yeah, you just need to add an extra O in there, right? Soroka.
Right, exactly.
He's got the extra O there. Yeah, I thought you were going to say your shirt that says Jesus hates the Yankees. I thought maybe you're afraid to wear that one too.
No, I wear that one all the time out in public. That's when I like to wear to church to see what church people judge me for.
Yeah, I judge you.
Right, but have not done that at the new church yet. New church, I'm being careful. I'm wearing a polo shirt.
What I've seen in your Instagram, you could you could go up there in a freaking Harry Potter costume and people would think you're normal. So I don't know what's going on at your church.
I mean, it is still Florida. I told you I visited a new church. I went 2 weeks to the same church. The first week I went, I was a little thrown off because they had all this Marvel posters and stuff hung up. Hold on for a minute, Matt.
All right. Someone's at Josh's door in a shady hotel in Florida. Probably should be concerned. But I'm more curious than concerned. Let's see how this plays out. Josh went up to the door. Looks like there's someone at the door. There's a conversation. If everyone can be quiet, a conversation's happening. I'm trying to overhear. All I'm hearing is Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, 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 wah. It's probably good too. I don't hear any voices anymore. And Josh isn't back at the microphone. At what point should I be concerned that there's no voices and Josh is not back at the microphone yet? I'll give it another 30 minutes. And then I'll text somebody. Oh, wait, here he comes.
All right, now I got to do an edit.
Oh, you could leave in my commentary while you were
Have you been talking?
Go to the door. Yeah.
Have you been hearing what I was dealing with?
No, I couldn't. I just heard a little bit of wah in the background.
Yeah. Well, I called this morning because my shower was broken. Like the drain, you know how it has a plug that you push in? Well, the entire drain just fell apart, into two separate parts. So I told them this morning, and they didn't show up until 8:15 tonight to fix it. And then he looks at it and he goes, "Oh, well, are you going to take a bath?" And I said, "No." And he said, okay, then you don't need this, and just walked out with the part. So I'm like, okay.
Well, that's one of Florida's finest hotels, I'm guessing.
Yeah. All right. So what were we doing?
We were commenting on your new church and the
All right.
Marvel posters or something.
All right. Yeah. All right. So I visited this church 2 weeks in a row. The first week I was a little thrown off because they had like Marvel posters everywhere, and like the drum shield was brick and said like comics, and they took liberties, I'm pretty sure of. I don't think Marvel would have given them permission to like use the Marvel font and make like bulletins and stuff with SpiderMan on it. So I'm guessing that they just looked beyond all that. So that threw me off a little bit, but I enjoyed the church. And it was weird because when the music team came out, I knew the violin player, which is weird because I didn't think I knew anyone down here.
Well, did you know her, or did you know Catwoman, her character that she was dressed up as?
Right.
Like, oh, that's Catwoman. No.
Catwoman. You're jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead.
Oh,
this was week one. This was week one.
So there's no characters.
No. So no characters.
These are humans.
No, you're jumping ahead. So
my bad.
They gave a sermon, and they used Spider-Man as the example for the sermon and all, and a little cheesy, but it was fine.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
Was that used? Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I don't think it was.
That's a missed opportunity.
No.
That's a famous line.
Yeah. I don't think they used that one. I've heard other pastors use that before. Youth pastors love to use that line. But that one was not used this time.
Have you seen? I saw a video on Twitter with Spider-Verse. I guess there's a show or movie called Spider-Verse or something.
It's a movie. It's excellent. You haven't watched it? Into the Spider-Verse?
No, I haven't.
It's like one of the best Marvel movies.
I was fascinated by like it was something like things per minute, like screen captures per minute, and Spider-Man was done at like 24 whatever per minute, and they did his understudy at like 12 per minute, so it looked like he was slower doing everything, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, that's cool. So, I mean, it's a cartoon, that movie.
Okay.
So,
but now
I'm showing
after that.
Right, so I'm showing you the bulletin thing, and the sermon series is called Marvel at Jesus. So, all right.
Well,
so I gave him some liberties.
Marvel before Jesus. I don't know about that. Maybe it should be Jesus at Marvel. But whatever.
Yeah. Well, you know, they're using the whole word of, Marvel's a verb or whatever. But anyway, so I gave him a pass on that, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to try it again. So I went week 2. Again, it was cool that I knew someone in the music team from back home, and the pastor seemed really nice. So I gave it another try this week. And I walk in. I don't want to say. We'll get to that in a moment.
All right.
All right. Let me back up. I really like this church. I'm going to go again next week.
Imagine, Josh, I would imagine the pastor, it's now hard to see him as anything else than the character he's dressed up as for the rest of your life. But okay, go ahead. I really like this church. The pastor seems really nice. In fact, right before we recorded tonight, the pastor called me because I filled out the little card saying I was a visitor. And he asked to get lunch with me. So I'm going to have lunch on Friday with the pastor. So let me just say, I like this church. There's some things that threw me off, and I think it's just, it's Florida. So I'm adjusting. Things are different. Yeah.
Things are different in Florida. So I walk in week 2, and this time I decided to go to the second service a little later because I didn't see enough like teenagers and stuff in the first service, and now I'm looking for something where my kids will like enjoy it and make friends and all. I went to the 10:30 showing. I went to the 10:30 screening.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. So anyway, there were a lot more teenagers. I like that. So, but when I walk in the lobby, they've got one of those big like photo booth backdrops things set up where you can get your picture taken. And then they've got people dressed up as like Captain America and Spider-Gwen and
any Black Panthers out there?
The sermon title was all about Black Panther this week. And
okay.
But and they had what's the guy from Chris Pratt from Guardians of the Galaxy? but that was a really bad costume. But they had him there.
I don't know.
So
Marvel movies.
I walked past it and I'm like, all right, this is Florida, and I go sit down. Now here's where I had to take a double take. The worship team comes out. This time I don't know anyone on the worship team, but the lead singer is Captain America. And he's not in a cheap Captain America suit. He's in like one of those expensive, like I go to Comic-Con Captain America costumes. Like the pants, the jacket that looks like, I don't know how you can play guitar in that because it's so tight and we're in Florida. But like all out in Captain America. And at first,
yeah, I saw your Instagram pic of Steve Rogers. Yeah, that was all out.
Exactly. I said, all right, this is weird. But you know what? After 2 songs, you know what I was thinking? That's a really impressive costume.
Captain America.
It's a really good quality costume. So that's my Florida for the week. Oh, and the pastor, when he came out to do his Black Panther sermon, which what was the I think Black Panther was like an example of Jesus because he comes from another land to like save the world or something. I don't know. The power to defeat the villains was the sermon title for Black Panther. He came out and he goes, "Hey, I'm so-and-so. I am Gospel Man." And he has a Superman shirt, but it's a G instead of an S. And I like this church. Those little things made me want to run out of this church.
Yeah, that's
but
a
I
bit,
like, but
a bit
but
cheesy.
I like this church, and it's a little cheesy, and it's Florida, so I'm adapting, and I'm getting used to the fact that you can go to church dressed up as your favorite superhero.
It sounds like maybe the church is in rebuilding mode, so they're trying to get ways to get fans or church attendants to show up. Even in a down year, it sounds like some moral parallels there for these giveaways and theme nights that the church might be trying to do.
Yeah, that's a good idea. It is kind of like the Orioles. I would be all for the Orioles dressing up in like high-end Marvel costumes for the entire game, or at least just Brandon Hyde.
Yeah, something to put fans.
Yeah.
Hey,
who would be your Captain America?
Oh, it's Trey Mancini is Captain America.
Not Chris Davis?
No.
I think Chris Davis is like Wolverine from Logan, where he's like old and beat down, and no one thinks he can do anything.
Yeah, but unfortunately, most of those movies have happy endings where the hero comes back to save the day, and that's not the Chris Davis movie. Sorry.
Yeah, but lots of fights and killing people and all that. I think Chris Davis could take a few heads off with a swing, especially if he had some big iron claws.
That's probably true, and I wouldn't mind if he chose to do that to get into the movie industry and leave our team alone. That's not a bad idea. Maybe if he's successful with it, we can get him out of here.
Hey, he's had a decent week. I think his batting average is up to like 180 or something.
He's gotten a hit since the All-Star break. He's back in the series against Tampa. He's back to struggling ways.
Well, the entire team struggled in the series against Tampa.
Yeah, it was a rough series. And Tampa, by the way, Tampa's a really good team. They're a good baseball.
Yeah, they're in second place, right? They're a very good team. They don't even need like a bunch of starting pitchers, and they can still go fine.
Hey,
Chris Davis is at 181.
Okay. Speaking of that, so the 200 watch is off. Speaking of that, the manager Hyde, I'm not a huge fan of him, but he had the first line that I really liked of Manager Hyde. It was like a Buck Showalter line. And he was talking about Andrew Cashner being traded, which we'll get to in a minute here on Section 336. But he was talking about Andrew Cashner being traded, and they asked him who's going to start tomorrow. And his response was a very kind of Buck Showalter, a Buck-esque type line. He said, I'll say who's my starting pitcher is when Tampa Bay says who their starting pitcher is. Because Tampa Bay was being a little bit funny with their start. They wouldn't list their next starter, their opener, if you will,
right?
And for the game on Sunday. And so he said, "I'll say who mine is when they tell me who theirs is." So I like that. That showed a little
Right. I'll show you if you show me.
Yeah, a little fight, a little kind of sticking it to the Rays, which is something I like to see because that's what Buck used to always do, and I love that about Buck. And sometimes Manager Hyde seems a little bit too, I don't want to say go lucky because he goes after his own players. He does. But I want a guy who represents the Orioles and who goes after other teams and other stadiums and other things like Buck used to always do. I want that guy as my manager too. Not just go after my own players, but also go after other teams when he feels like the Orioles are being slighted, which we know the Orioles are always being slighted everywhere we go.
Right. And that's why they're such a bad team. Yeah.
Yes.
Totally agree.
Yes, and we'll get to one way because the Nationals, and we'll get to that, the Nationals, upcoming series of Nationals in a minute too. But let's start with the trade. We traded Andrew Cashner. We talked about last week. We hinted at this, and it happened. Traded Andrew Cashner for two 17-year-old boys from Venezuela. And I do mean the word boys.
Well, yeah, they're 17 years old.
Yeah, your immediate reaction, how are you feeling about this this trade? Are you happy with what we got back in return? Are you annoyed like I am about what you got back in return? What does it say about kind of Mike Elias and what he's looking for? Well, what do you make of this trade?
Well, like I told you last week on Section 336, didn't I say 99% chance of Cashner being traded or something like that? I think I went real high in my percentage of Cashner. So we knew it was coming. It was the only thing that made sense. And it's fine. It's a safe trade because there's no way we can judge this trade for another 4 or 5 years. So Mike Elias doesn't have to worry about us jumping on him in a year. I was is it Dominowski? What's the guy's name up in Boston? Their GM.
Yeah,
something like that.
Dominowski.
Yeah. I liked his quotes where he was saying these weren't guys we were necessarily offering. We didn't like seeing these names come up. We think they have upside, but they are a long way out, and obviously we need to give up anything for starting pitching that can help the big leagues now. So I liked.
Yeah, I think that was the assistant GM. But yeah.
Okay.
Your point remains true.
Anything that says we hurt the Red Sox, okay, I'll take that. I mean, and I love all these amateurs like us that are out there writing articles about this trade when the truth is none of us know. No one knows if this was a good trade or not.
Right, that's true for all trades. But
you can't tell me whether or not Nolberth, Romero, or what is it? I forget Prado's first name. You can't tell me if these guys are good or not.
Right, and maybe that's part of the problem, right? Like if you took a guy that was from single A or double A, you have some sort of track record about the type of player you're getting back, right? Like we could look at the trade for Manny Machado, and I know Cashner's not Manny Machado, but we could look at Diaz and we could see his prospect ranking, and we saw what happened, right? And this is why I think a lot of fans are upset. When Duquette made all those trades, in our top 30, all these guys went immediately to our top 30 prospects. So we could kind of visibly see our prospects get better, our prospects' depth get better as our 30 guys, as 7 of our 30 guys got replaced with new names. So you say, oh, look, we now have new guys as our top 30 prospects from all these trades. Therefore, that shows that our farm system is getting better. What Elias did, traded for two 17-year-olds, they're not showing up on any top 30 prospect lists.
Right.
And they won't unless they significantly improve in the next few years. And so it's hard to say, it's hard for me to say this was a good trade for two guys who were recently signed, just signed last year, international signings, who, no one's ever heard of, who are not even pre-prospects. They're kind of nothing. They're just two 17-year-old boys. And this is what you gave up, a really good starting pitcher this year. You gave it up for two unknowns. And so that, I think there's reason to question that.
I hear that. All right, but these guys are playing in the Dominican Summer League. The Boston Red Sox have two teams in the Dominican Summer League. How many teams do the Orioles have?
I don't know how they would field a team.
Exactly. And I think this tells you more about how the Orioles have dealt with international prospects versus how Mike Elias wants to deal with international prospects. I think you wouldn't trade for two 17-year-olds from Florida. I think the fact that they are from the Dominican Republic, you're putting more into that. And you're wanting these guys who think, well, there's a reason the Red Sox signed them recently and gave them decent sign-in bonuses. The Red Sox invested money in these guys. The Red Sox have scouts in that area. Apparently, we have a scout, too, that's in that area that has been watching these guys and like these guys. But I think it's more telling about the fact that we need players in order to develop this international class. And the more guys you get on your team like this helps you when you're going to sign. The bigger your international class is, the more that helps you in future years of signing more as you make your presence known in there. And this is two more guys that whether or not they make it to the bigs helps us with that international scouting.
Yeah, at the same time, though, there's something silly about if we were just involved in international signings, we could have just signed them last year and we wouldn't have to make any trades. And your point about Florida, well, first of all, it's illegal. It would be illegal to sign a kid at 17 because he would have to be graduate high school and then be drafted. So this is the only way to get a 16 or 17-year-old is through international kind of signing and trades. And it's weird.
That or adoption.
Yeah, that or adoption. Those are the only two ways. And I guess adoption, I heard, is pretty expensive. So maybe.
Yeah, and there's a waiting list and everything. Yeah. Adoption's a pain.
That can be complicated. But to Elias' defense, and I was just arguing why some people were upset about it. But to Elias' defense, you kind of have two options, right? Like you could trade for. I keep on thinking like Rylan Banning, who's now a Bowie, like a second baseman. You could trade for a Bowie second baseman, like a double-A or single-A second baseman, who could project as utility infielder. And that's what you would probably get for Andrew Cashner, right?
Yes.
And he would be probably like your top – you could probably get like a top 20 prospect in your farm system, in Orioles farm system, a number 20 prospect in your farm system, who would – his ceiling would be a major league utility infielder.
Right. Utility guy. He's not even going to register in the top 200 nationwide.
Right. And so, but it would be a name that people maybe have heard of, a name that's a track record. Maybe like what Duquette always did. If Duquette was making this deal, it would be a former first-round pick 3 years ago who kind of fell off a little bit, and then you try to kind of find that magic.
So he's going to be a space holder that if he gets hot, you may be able to bring him up.
Yeah, kind of like Dylan Tate, for example, who he hasn't really worked out a couple organizations, but former first-round pick. You hope you can kind of strike magic.
But that's a pitcher.
Right.
How often do you strike magic on a utility player?
No. I'm agreeing with you. I don't think that method really works very much. And so Elias is saying, well, I'll take the long view here. Like this might be nothing. Like they might not ever make it to single A, or like I might strike gold. Like it does. Like it's this is a better alternative, and for the reason that you said too, building up kind of our international presence, this is a better way than just signing a guy just to beef up my Bowie squad, who I know is never going to be an everyday position player in the majors. We have enough. We have Steve Wilkerson. We have Jace Peterson. We have Rylan Banning. We have enough like future utility infielders that we don't need to make trades to draft a guy who's going to project to be a utility infielder. We need to, I guess, for a guy like Andrew Cashner, we need to get 17, 8-year-olds because they're cheaper. Teams are more willing to part with them because they're so far away. You're getting them before they ever hit any of the prospect lists and hoping you can turn them into a prospect. So I part of it makes me cringe because I feel like we got nothing back. But on the other hand, I get Mike Elias, understand what he's doing. And I'm curious if Andrew Cashner, who, by the way, the playoff talk here, percentages that the Boston Red Sox would make the playoffs prior to the Andrew Cashner deal. They had a 55.8% chance of making the playoffs. 55.8% chance. After the trade of Andrew Cashner, do you know what the probability that they make the playoffs are, according to Fangraphs or something? It was 55.8.
54. Did they have a rough week or something that just timed poorly?
No, it actually went up.
Okay, all right.
So just the Andrew Cashner signing alone, or trade alone, made it go up from 55.8 to 56.1. So 0.03% of it.
Well, I mean, they brought him in as a fifth starter. Yeah. He's going to get him more wins to help him get that wild card slot, maybe. But I mean, everyone's clearly saying, all right, but we don't know what we do with Andrew Cashner in the postseason. He won't be part of our plan for the postseason. Yeah,
I mean, it depends, right? Like, we'll see how well he pitches, and he could be a bullpen arm, if not a starter.
Right. Yeah. You know what? It's nice for Andrew Cashner. He's never been on, like, a playoff team, I don't think. So, good luck to him. I mean, I like that. Well, remember a couple months ago when we were talking about how Andrew Cashner said, well, I'm going to retire if I get traded.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to consider retirement. So all that talk quickly went away.
Yeah, and Andrew Cashner seems like a good dude. He said all the right things. He's talked about how much the pitching staff has helped him become a better pitcher. He certainly looks like a different pitcher this year. It's just his stuff is a lot better. He's so much more effective. Here's what we know. And, like, again, all this made sense because he's not coming back next year. So, like, these are two 17-year-old guys that you have, and you would have lost Andrew Cashner anyway. And John Heyman, I hate his guts, but he's right. Like, this increases the chances of the Orioles getting the number one pick. Though I tell you what, Detroit's
imploding.
They're going to give us a run for our money. I'm telling you, Detroit is terrible.
Are they even doing it on purpose? Like, the Orioles, we all know, are doing this on purpose.
Yeah.
But Detroit is just crazy.
Yeah.
Doesn't Cashner kind of just look like he should be on the Red Sox anyway with the crazy hair and all?
Yeah,
that's where he belongs.
Yeah, it does kind of fit. And listen, if I'm Boston, and I saw, and I was on Twitter, seeing people's reactions, and Oriole fans were complaining, and Red Sox fans were complaining. Like, both fan bases were ticked. Like, the Orioles were complaining about the return. The Red Sox were complaining about Cashner. This is the guy we get to get us into the playoffs, Cashner? So,
isn't that such an Orioles move, though? Like, that's what we used to do. Besides when we brought in the closer, or
Andrew Miller,
Andrew Miller. Besides that, it was always this type of move where, like, if we were in the Red Sox position, we would sign Andrew Cashner.
This is the
that was a total Duquette move.
Or the Jim Tomei signing after his prime. Yeah,
yes.
I can't go all in, so let me kind of get this guy.
Right. Nate McLeod.
Yeah. And by the way, like, what did the Orioles do to get those guys? We traded away guys like Josh Hader, right? We traded away 17,
Eduardo Rodriguez.
19-year-old guys. Well, Rodriguez, he was older, but that was for Andrew Miller. I'm saying,
so that's
for
the one
Jim
we give
Tomei
a pass
type
to.
Guys. Yeah, like to get Travis Snyder, we gave away these young, good arms who were just 18, so they weren't yet prospects. And so I think that's what we're trying to do on these other teams. So we will see how it works out. Here are a couple. Can I read a couple comments from Mike Elias about the trade?
Yeah.
He said, it's tough because you're only offering a couple months of control that limits the possible return and the number of teams that are interested in that kind of thing. Elias said, each market, each player has its own shape, but with Andrew not coming back next year, it made sense for us to strike once we got something that makes sense. Let me step it back for a second and say, I feel like a lot of teams are fighting for a wildcard spot and could use a fourth or fifth starter. And so part of my thinking was, too, did we really need to make this deal now? Couldn't we wait if this is the best deal that was out there? But I digress. Elias goes on to say, I hear Prado is off to a pretty good start in Dominican Summer League. Those are complex leagues. The stats can be misleading. A lot can change, but he's a center fielder with some pop, runs well. He's been stealing bases. We've had eyes on him, and they like what they see. We'll see what we get. There's a lot of development ahead for him. And on Romero, so we got Prado, and the second guy we got was Romero. He said, and by the way, Romero, he was the guy that was $275,000 he cost to sign. So he was a lot more expensive.
Yes. Right. The other one was $85,000.
Yes. So Romero was the more expensive one. So we can assume maybe the more gifted and talented one. But it says Romero is an infielder who has capability to move around to different positions. He has played mostly third base, but we think he's got a chance to develop as a shortstop, and made pretty good contact with Pop as well. And I think the Red Sox gave him some money too. We'll see what we get. Obviously, it'll take several years to find out what we've got with these guys. But I do feel like that age group and that pipeline is something we want to bolster and give a jolt to, and this helps with that. And then he went on to say that he doesn't know if the Orioles will make any more deals, but he is looking at these Gulf Coast leagues and these Dominican summer leagues for players. So
good, and that's what we want to hear. So I guess you are walking with Elias instead of jumping off the bandwagon after this move.
I'm not renouncing my season tickets. Like
you gonna go get your T-shirt?
I'm not getting my T-shirt because that's dumb. Now that because he traded Cashner for two 17-year-olds from Venezuela I've never heard of. That's not making me get my Elias T-shirt. I'm not getting that shirt, and if I got it, I'm not wearing it until he does something besides tank the Orioles. I could tank the Orioles too, by the way. I could do a pretty good job of losing. Anyone can tank, right, but can you win? That's the question.
Right. Yeah, and as we were saying, the Tigers might be doing a better job tanking.
Yeah, and so I see what Elias is doing here. He's scouting hard. He's looking for, and I'll be curious, right? And I don't know if there'll be any more trades. I would not be shocked if the Orioles were done with trades. But if any more trades happen, I'm curious to see how many of them will involve international players who are 17, 18 years old. That'd be something to watch.
Sure. I agree. And you know what? It's something. I mean, they're doing something. They're planning long term. I just hope it's a 3-year plan and not a 5-year plan like we keep talking about to be competitive.
Yeah, well, I mean, this trade is not part of the 3 or 5-year plan, right? This
this is long term,
Yeah, it's Cashner dump. I also was happy to see that they included some money, some of Cashner's salary. I always want the Orioles to trade with their salaries, to trade the salaries, because that usually means you get more prospects or better prospects in return if you give the team some money too.
Right.
With salary.
Yeah. Yeah. Then
so
that
was a good sign.
It's not just a straight dump like we did with the Braves last year.
Yeah, that Kevin Gausman deal felt like a salary dump.
It was a Darren O'Day salary dump, and we included Gausman to eat up part of O'Day's contract, which I have no clue what O'Day's doing this year.
That's a great question. He was hurt when we traded him. Presumably he's gotten healthy.
You would think, but I haven't heard his name all season. So, all right. So Andrew Cashner is now out of the rotation. So there's a big question now about who will start, but also we had the Dylan Bundy pitch like crap on Friday night and then go to the IL. So he's out of the rotation now too.
Yeah. So Dylan Bundy got the start. Just 2 days ago, and Dylan Bundy was terrible. Can we talk about Dylan Bundy and the career of Dylan Bundy for a minute?
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah, can we just take a step back amidst the Orioles' current season and amidst the trading of Andrew Cashner and us tanking, and just talk for a second about the evolution of Dylan Bundy or the de-evolution of Dylan Bundy and what he's devolved to. I went back and looked because I was thinking, man, he was drafted. First of all, he was drafted, in 2011. First round, number 4 overall pick. Freaking, high school player of the year. High school, the Gatorade athlete of the year. Not just player, athlete of the year. Just stud. He was drafted by the Orioles. People were writing him up. I Googled his name. And, Sports Illustrated, Tom Verducci wrote an article about him called The Bundy Project in 2012. About his legendary workout routines, which we can talk about if you want. We can get into look at his body and talk. Legendary workout routine sounds like a bit of a stretch to me. Whatever. And then his appearance in his first major league or his first professional baseball experience was in Delmarva at 19, and he was blowing everybody away. His stats in Delmarva, I went back and looked it up because I remember as a minor leaguer, this kid was a stud. His first appearance was in Delmarva, where he pitched 30 innings his rookie year. Pitched 30 innings, gave up 0 runs in 30 innings, struck out 40 guys in 30 innings, and only walked 2 guys. Had 40 strikeouts and 2 walks in 30 innings. This is his first kind of professional experience in baseball. And he's dominating. I mean, we talk about Grayson Rodriguez having a good year and DL Hall having a good year. I mean, Dylan Bundy blew those pitchers out of the water with his stats in the minors. And then, of course, was it 2000? Now I'm going to mess up my years here. 2012 or 2013, when he got Tommy John surgery. That must have been 2013. And then since the Tommy John surgery, it's been shoulder soreness. It's been knee issues. It's been back issues. And all the time, and I remember they were talking back in the Buck Showalter tenure 3 years ago, what's wrong with his velocity now that he's finally here and a starting pitcher. And it's just been kind of one mess after the next. And in between all these injuries, he's also sucked as a pitcher. Every year he's been in the majors, he's gotten worse and worse and worse. His best year in the majors was his rookie year. In 2016, or his first kind of full year as a starter in 2016. 2017 was worse. 2018, last year, was a lot worse. And 2019 is on pace to be worse. So it's he's gotten worse and worse and worse. And he just stinks. The velocity's gone. He can't stay healthy. He looks out of shape. I don't know if mentally he's all there in the game. Dylan Bundy went from being one of my favorite players to now I can't stand to watch him. I'm happy he's on the DL. I'm sick of the guy. I'd rather see Wojciechowski and his 20-letter name out there pitching than Dylan Bundy. I'm sick of Dylan Bundy. I'm sick of him. And I wish we could trade him, but he stink and he hurt. And no one likes pitchers who stink and are hurt. So we can't trade him. Oh, man. I've had it with Dylan Bundy.
So you like our rotation now of Wojciechowski, Brooks, and Eshelman.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Right. Who bet on that rotation?
Only one of those guys. I know. Like, if you want to know what a tanking team looks like, just look at our starting rotation. That is what I don't know what Detroit's. I know that they got. I can't name. They got Norris. I think Norris for Detroit, who they got in that trade for Price. I can't name all of Detroit's rotation, but I would put our rotation up against anyone as this is what a tanking team looks like. So, I mean, if we're tanking, it begins with starting pitching. Elias should write a book on how to tank, right? And it's all about 3 things: starting pitching, starting pitching, starting pitching. Bad momentum is as good as tomorrow's starter, right? It's next day's starter. This is how you tank, by having terrible starting pitching day in and day out. You can't get on a winning streak when your rotation is Wojciechowski, Brooks, and Eshelman. You can't win 2 in a row with that rotation. So no winning streaks allowed here in caution what floor tanking Orioles baseball. Gotta love it.
Yeah,
But Josh,
yeah.
But can we talk about Bundy?
Yeah.
We're not. At one point, he was like the number 2 prospect in all of baseball, and now he. I don't even think he's a major league pitcher anymore. I mean, the decline of Dylan Bundy and his career has been kind of depressing and sad to watch.
Did the Orioles ruin Dylan Bundy? You know, last year going into the trade deadline, we had the whole conversation of which one do you keep? Do you keep Kevin Gausman? Do you keep Dylan Bundy? We talked a lot about the up and down yo-yo effect of Gausman's progression and how that might have ruined him. There was a Bundy where they were a little more careful with, but they did bring him up right away into the bullpen early, and then after the injuries, they were more careful. Do you think the Orioles ruined these guys? We don't develop pitchers well.
Well, a couple of things. The Dylan Bundy was weird because he was one of the last guys on the old major league contracts, draft contracts. So he only has, if you look at his minor league innings, he only has 103 total minor league innings. 103. That's like half a season. Essentially, he spent half a season pitching in the minors. That's it, right? Because his injury history and his his draft signing, he had to come up by a certain time,
right?
And so he came with virtually no seasoning in the minors, and then there's all the injuries. So, and so that's I think an interesting case. But there was talk, right? Like Dan Duquette. I don't know if it was Dan Duquette or whomever. He wasn't allowed to throw his cutter. That was a huge story that Josh was all over. Dylan Bundy was not allowed to throw his cutter in the minors. Yeah. And so I don't know what impact that had. But Kevin Gausman hasn't been good for Atlanta. So it's not like he goes to Atlanta, all of a sudden he's Jake Arrieta. I mean, Kevin Gausman has struggled as well. So I don't know if you can – I never bought the argument, by the way, that bringing someone up and then making them go back down to AAA ruins them. Like, my thought is if that ruins you or shatters your confidence, then you weren't going to be a major leaguer anyway, because that's soft. That's a snowflake move to have your confidence shattered from just being moved to the majors, AAA.
Your confidence is being shattered because someone believes in you and bringing you to the majors. That's a positive thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like tough it up, Buttercup. Most people don't even make it to the majors ever. But again, I don't know as far as pitching development what we did. Certainly things are different now, right, with analytics, and it seems like and if you look at, I know a lot of people point to the team in Delmarva and say these are the youngest players in our organization, or the youngest professional players in our organization, and they're tearing it up. They get the best rotation kind of in all the minors down there in Delmarva, so maybe they're doing something different with the development. But I don't think so. I don't think Dylan Bundy would have been a number one starter if he was drafted by the Braves. I don't think Gausman would have been a number one starter if he was drafted by the Brewers. Now, if you were drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays, who knows? Because it seems like everyone the Tampa Bay Rays touch turns into a number one starter. But for those other teams, I don't think so. I don't buy this notion that the Orioles ruined these pitchers. Could they have done a better job developing them? Of course. But I don't think any of them would have been stars if they weren't ruined by the Orioles.
Gotcha. All right, so Adley Rutschman is now on the Gulf Coast League team. Did you know who the manager of the Gulf Coast team is?
Yes. Alan Mills, who we love.
Yeah, it's Alan Mills, who, as speaking of pitching development, he's the guy that everyone always praised as far as pitcher development up until this point.
Yeah, it does seem like a little bit of demotion for him, though, right? Because he was
totally
moving on up the ranks.
But it's
Bowie, and then he was the bench coach in the majors, and now Gulf Coast League.
Oh, because it's a Mike Elias move. Of this isn't a Mike Elias guy. Think about if you came in to take over the organization and all you knew was that this team never developed good pitchers. Wouldn't you get rid of anyone that worked with pitchers or demote anyone that worked with pitchers? I think it's Alan Mills has to prove himself again to Mike Elias, and who knows? Maybe this Gulf Coast League managerial thing is maybe he's in the someone's going to have to replace Brandon Hyde when the team gets good campaign.
Well, yeah, I mean, or even to a lesser extent, like developmental league for managers, right? Like Alan Mills, I'm sure, needs to learn, the things that are important to Elias, right? Some of these kind of sabermetric type things that are important to Elias, and so maybe this is his chance to kind of learn as he's kind of showing the players these things.
Yeah, sure, makes sense.
Yeah, so it makes sense. So I don't care about Adley Rutschman in the Gulf Coast League. When is he coming to Aberdeen? That's a drive I can make.
I say keep him in the Gulf Coast League. No need to rush him up. And maybe
I'm sure you do down there in Sarasota in your neck of the woods.
I may be drafting an email to the Orioles later tonight to figure out some Gulf Coast League access. I Googled it. It is 3.5 hour drive. Did I lose you? Matthew?
Yeah, I'm here. So that's free game. It's free to attend. see Gunnar Henderson, a number 2 pick.
Yeah.
Did you want to get into the new Fangraphs rankings on some of these players?
Oh, I didn't have them up in front of me. I can pull them up if you'd like.
Oh, I have them up in front. Oh, I thought I did.
Yeah,
but Adley Rutschman was number 7. I have them up in front of me.
So Adley Rutschman's number 7 overall. That's good. I like that. He's way ahead of Bobby Witt Jr., but that's probably because he's an older player, college experience.
Yeah. And his ETA, according to Fangraphs, is 2020.
I like that.
Is,
that falls right in line with my passwords.
Next year.
No. Do you think Adley Rutschman will really be up next year?
No.
Right. Maybe September next year?
I mean, they also have Diaz as being a number 88 prospect in baseball, and our 3rd overall prospect behind DL Hall and Adley Rutschman, and his ETA is 2019. But Yusniel Diaz, I would be surprised if he comes up this year.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that going to be did they change like September call-ups this year, or is that rule going to affect later? I know we've talked about that before. How you can't just flood the market, flood your team with players in September.
I think it's the same this year.
Okay,
but to do that, you have to be on the 40-man roster,
right?
To get the
right. So these guys aren't,
and that would mean putting them on and then removing other guys from the 40-man roster. So I don't know. I would be surprised if Diaz has and Diaz is, by the way, Yusniel Diaz is freaking on fire right now, and fuego right now. If he continues this, then maybe. I
feel like in September we won't have a problem removing people from our 40-man roster.
Yeah, that's probably true.
We're rebuilding. If you're not going to cut it and you can't get any trade value in September, then I'm sorry, Chris Davis, you got to go.
Yeah. Well, if you look at Fangraphs' new updated, I'm pumped that Adley Rutschman's number 7 overall. I think it's an awesome place. Before even playing any professional games, to be the 7th highest rated prospect in baseball is pretty cool. And we have 4 other guys in the top 100. DL Hall is number 2. I mentioned Yusniel Diaz number 3. I guess
in the Orioles number 2, number 3. Yeah.
Yeah. 65 overall is DL Hall. 88 overall is Diaz. And then Grayson Rodriguez is next. He's number 93 overall. So 4 guys in top 100. And Ryan Mountcastle at 120 is just out of that top 100. And I'm really surprised. The only reason Ryan Mountcastle is not in the top 100 is because he does not have a position.
Yeah.
If he had a position and he was good at it, he would be a top 100 guy.
Mountcastle is the guy who will probably be here in September. He's probably going to be up DHing to see if he can hit Major League hitting in September.
Yeah, I'm curious. He's still really young, so he would be our youngest player on there. I think he's 21. Maybe he just turned 22.
But this Oriole team is getting younger every day.
Mountcastle. Yeah, but not with actual prospects. So we'll see when Elias
just the age is going down.
Prospect clock.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think September starts your clock though.
Okay, I'm not going to get into the rules because I don't know the rules well enough. But I think once you get the call up, that's when it starts.
Okay.
Now, if you were to go back down right to begin the year, you could hold them off again, I guess, to make up for what you did in September.
I don't know. I'd have to ask Dan Duquette those rules.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really knows them. But there's all that to say, in the prospect rankings, we're being recognized nationally. Those things are improving. I can't remember last time we had a top 10 guy. Was it Dylan Bundy? Maybe that we had a guy as high as number 7. No, Manny Machado, of course.
Right.
And Matt Wieters probably too. So we had some guys up there. But it'd be interesting to see who gets. I think the ETAs that Fangraphs have, I would almost push it back a year. So the 2019 for Fangraphs should be 2020. In reality.
Maybe those dates are thinking September. September is when. So 2020 September.
Oh, certainly.
Not opening day 2020.
Yeah, certainly. Because they said 2019, so it'd have to be September for some of those guys. So all right, so this is good. We broke down the Andrew Cashner trade. Josh, do you think by the time we talk next week, we'll have some more trades to talk about?
I hope so. I was hoping in the off day today the Orioles would make some type of trade. All right. Because we've got guys still to trade. I'd love to see Trey Mancini traded because it means we would bring something like real back. I don't think you get it much real back. I think Jonathan Villar isn't going to bring you back any more than Andrew Cashner.
I think you would. Yeah, I think you would be happy, and you would jump on an Andrew Cashner type deal for Jonathan Villar.
Right. I think Bundy's not going to get you anything. I mean,
no, he's not going anywhere. That's why.
Can you trade John Means?
No. The only other guy that might be traded is Michael Gibbons.
Yes. And watch for that because you know who needs bullpen help is the Nats.
It's not going to happen.
The Nats.
It's not going to happen.
Why not?
It's not going to happen. If that happens, that would be proof that the Angelos family has literally nothing to do with this baseball team. Okay. That would be proof.
Gotcha. Good point.
But I don't envision a world where can you imagine Peter Angelos, that comes across his desk, or any of the Angelos brothers, that comes across their desk after they're spending all their lawyers and all their money fighting with the Nationals, and Elias presents to them, here's a deal where we trade our best reliever to the Nats. That paper will get ripped up so fast. Elias will get called so fast. I'm sorry, you're right. The Nationals are desperate in need of bullpen pitching.
Good point.
There's no
How
way
about you trade? How about you trade Givens for an end of the Masson dispute? We get nothing in return. It just ends. Yeah. Would you take that deal?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, me too. I'm so tired of it. Give them Means, too, if it means it ends.
Yeah. The only way this works, though, with the Nationals, they'll have to get a third team involved to go like a kind of a Sweden type place. We'll send him to the Mets, and the Mets will then send him to the Nationals, and the Nationals will send a guy to the Mets and then to us. That's the only scenario there. They don't have to get their hands dirty.
There's one other scenario. You can always have Major League Baseball intervene and force the Orioles to give up Givens to the Nats for nothing in return, with no concept of hurting, no concept of it's okay that you're going to hurt the Orioles because we want the Nats to be good.
Yeah, because the Nats really need bullpen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys are bad anyway. You guys are really bad anyway, and the Nats really need bullpen help. So yeah.
You know what?
And give them Michael Gibbons.
Yeah,
you're right. That's a possibility.
Right.
And I want to put it past our commissioner.
Right. Then in 3-4 years, they'll argue that some other reason that they were supposed to screw us more out of it.
Yeah. You guys didn't really want the All-Star game, right? You guys really didn't want Michael Gibbons, right? You guys didn't really want him. You never said that you wanted him, so.
Well, remember that's the Orioles' line is we don't want the All-Star game.
Yeah, you can't give it to me. You can't refuse us because we didn't want it to begin with.
Right, we didn't ask for it. Has nothing to do with you said don't expect an All-Star game. We didn't ask for it.
That's right. That's right. Even though if we asked, we know we said no. It's better just to not ask because then they can't say no. Maybe same with Michael Gibbons.
Do you want to get into the Masson Cup at all? Or
I feel like I'm supposed to hate the Nationals, but like I love my favorite podcast is Tony Kornheiser, and he's a huge Nat fan, and they always talk about the Nats, and so that makes me kind of like the Nats a little bit. But I feel like with the Masson Cup, I'm supposed to hate them, so I feel a little bit torn here.
Yeah, I don't like the Nats, but mostly because I don't like Bryce Harper. But Bryce Harper's not at the Nats anymore.
Yeah. I think Max Scherzer's awesome. I love Max Scherzer.
Is Albers still in their bullpen? Because I loved Fat Albers in their bullpen. Oh. I always liked that
Fat
when that's on TV.
Yeah. I don't think he's there anymore.
But no, I don't. You know what it is? I don't care. I don't care about the Masson Cup. There's none of this Manny versus Bryce anymore. I don't care. I don't like the Nationals. They're screwing. I don't like Washington. Just like I don't like the Redskins because we were raised to hate Washington teams because of the Colts. I don't like the Nats for the same reasons. I don't like Washington teams because of the Colts, and I don't like the Nats because they took stuff from the Orioles. If the Nats weren't in Washington, we would not be going through this rebuild right now. The Orioles would be in a completely different stage where the stadium wouldn't have 10,000 people there. It would be completely different if the Nats didn't exist.
Danica would probably still be GM.
We probably would have won a World Series by now if the Nats were not in D.C.
And you don't hate the Nats?
No, I do hate the Nats. I'm saying that's why I hate the Nats.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Redskins are so bad. It's hard to hate them. It's hard to hate someone who's so bad. They're just really bad.
On Wednesday,
but the Nationals. Yeah.
On Wednesday, the opening pitch is being thrown out by Lamar Jackson. Do you think that's just to rub it in the face of all of the Nats and all the Nats fans that we have a quarterback? And do you think he throws it or runs it to home plate?
I don't know. I hope he throws it well. Or we're going to have to hear if he makes a bad throw to home. Oh, man. We're going to hear about that one, right? And it's different throwing a football and throwing a baseball. And he's already been criticized for his accuracy. Maybe he should just run it to home.
I so hope it's like a 50-cent throw, where it's just the worst throw you've ever seen. I would love to see. For that, I will get on the internet and tune into 105.7 the next day just to hear people call and with concern over Lamar Jackson. I
would too. That would be good stuff. That's Twitter exists for that sort of thing. When that sort of thing happens, that's why we have Twitter. Twitter.com.
Yeah, it's like the guy. Sort of it's like the guy who says he's giving up his season tickets because the Orioles traded Andrew Cashner. Yeah. That's what the internet's for.
I saw him tweet that he's giving up his season tickets because the Orioles traded Andrew Cashner. Like, that was the last straw, and people criticized it. But I thought there was that reporter for ESPN, that Dan Zabakowski.
Yeah. His last straw was like them trading Manny or something, right?
No. It was like we're not trying to sign Shohei Ohtani, who was obviously not going to go with the Orioles. But we're not trying to sign him. So he's like, I'm done being an Oriole fan. This is a guy, Dave Zemanowski, who came through all the dark years stuff. Like a smart guy, hardcore fan. All of a sudden, we don't pursue Shohei Ohtani. He's saying, I'm no longer an Oriole fan.
Right. It's because
like that. We didn't. That's as crazy to me as this Cashner stuff.
Yeah, it's because we didn't send Brady down to watch his performance, his showcase.
Yeah. What are we? Dude, and I get why you're upset with that. Like, we should try to sign Shohei Ohtani. And like, if you're upset about the Cashner signing, I get that too. But dude, all the Orioles have been through, and you remained a fan. And like, what's like, Josh, for you, what would happen that would be the last straw? Like, was there anything that could happen that you could say, I'm done. My fandom. I renounce being an Orioles fan. I'm done. Like, what would the Orioles need to do for you to say, I'm done?
You know, I've thought about this, and they would have to, you know,
I've thought about this.
No, I was trying to think of a funny answer, but no, the obvious answer is move, pull a Colts type move, and pick up the team and move them to Nebraska. That's what it would take. There's no way if they leave the city of Baltimore, I would still be cheering for the Orioles.
Yeah. I mean, certainly there's something, like if manager Hyde like came out, I don't know, and shot someone, but then he would be arrested and he would no longer be an Oriole. And that I wouldn't really care that much if he shot somebody.
Right.
I care because you shouldn't shoot people.
Yeah, but that would be about the player. And I mean, come on, you're still a Ravens. You're still a Ravens fan.
Oh yeah, how many people has Ray Lewis killed?
Exactly.
I still root for the Ravens.
Hey, you still root for Ray Lewis?
Shoot. Ray Lewis, he's my favorite Raven ever.
Yeah, that's the real question. That's the real question: is what could Ray Lewis do for you to hate Ray Lewis?
Yeah, like I think maybe he could come to my house right now and shoot me in the chest, and like I would be like, no, it wasn't him. He was just wrong place, wrong time, hanging out with wrong people. It wasn't him or something, and I would still defend Ray Lewis even if he shot me right in the chest.
Right. Here, let me. Laundry's upstairs if you want to wash your white suit before you leave.
Yeah. So it would have to be more of an organization. Like the organization would have to decide, as an organization, we're going to go around killing people or something. Like that's it would have to be something the organization did as an Orioles organization.
Baseball sucks.
I don't know.
We're now going to murder people. Is that where you're going?
Yeah. Yeah, or like we decided we can make more money just having concerts here. So our baseball team is now going to be made up of like Garth Brooks and Britney Spears is going to be our players, and we're just going to sing every game. Like I don't know, it would have to be something so insane like that That would be a reason
got
to
it.
say, okay, Britney Spears just got signed. Last straw. I'm done. But like Andrew Cashner traded. You could trade Andrew Cashner for literally a baseball bat signed by, I don't know, Mike Trout. And I would say, I don't like that, but I'm still an Orioles fan.
All right, how about Peter Angelos comes out, tells all these international people to go back to their homes, and
if you don't like it here, go back to your home.
If you don't like it here, go back to your home, and the Orioles only sign white Americans from the South. Would that do it for
and he
you?
picks up a new slogan called "Make the Orioles Great Again."
Exactly.
That you just got it, Josh. That might do it.
I
might
think
do
so.
it. I think you.
Or if he
you just got a way to question my fandom.
Right, just sells the team to a businessman from New York.
Or do that. Yeah, there's a couple of things.
Yeah.
That's true. All right, but not trading Andrew Cashner or not trying to sign Shohei Ohtani, who you had no shot at signing. Not those reasons.
Right, exactly.
If you're going to renounce your fandom, I'm all about it, but just give me a legit reason, people.
Right, we need like...
And you can't be... I'm getting fired up about this now. You can't be over 30. If you're 15 and you see the Orioles trade Manny Machado, I'm done being a fan. I get that because you're 15. If you're 30 and you've been through the dark ages, I mean, are you kidding me? If you lasted through the dark ages, you can't give up now. You literally can't give up. You can't. Because you lasted the dark ages. You came out the other end.
Yeah, I feel like we need to make a poster. Like, everyone makes these posters about, like, great moments in Orioles history. We need to make a poster of, like, Orioles moments in our lifetime. And it's all the suck and crappiness that we went through. And like,
show all that we've overcome.
Right,
and
right.
we're still standing here as fans.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the crap we dealt with. Forget all the good things. We only post the bad things on this poster. And then it's just a reminder of, oh, the Orioles traded Cashner. Oh, they're rebuilding. We've been worse.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. We once traded Josh Hader, right? Can we talk about that? That didn't do it. We once traded, Eduardo Rodriguez, who's been a starter for Boston for the last 7 years. It feels like, and you're okay with that one. You're
right.
Okay with all the times where we signed players like Vlad Guerrero past his prime and Sammy Sosa. Remember that happened past his prime. But we're going to pay Chris Davis till I'm 60, and you're okay with that
right.
one? It was just Andrew Cashner being traded?
We had a steroid lab in the locker room, and it still didn't help the Orioles win?
Yeah. Larry Bigby, Jay Gibbons, Brian Roberts, Rafael Palmeiro. We had a team made up of steroid guys, right. And we still sucked. And that didn't stop you from cheering?
See, that's what we got to come up with, the list of bad things. So then whenever maybe we'll put that up on our website. So whenever someone tweets something stupid like I'm done with the Orioles, you just reply to them with this list and say, this is what it took?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, well, let's get out of here. Hopefully, I don't know, hopefully or not hopefully. I don't know if I'm rooting for trades or not. I mean, I hope we get good prospects if we do make trades, but I'm not. I'll be okay with no trades. But we'll see what's in store for us next week.
Hopefully there's trades because the current team's not doing anything. The only thing you can do is trade them for stuff.
Yeah, but the rest of the guys that would be traded, there's no, like, Cashner was like, end of the season's gone.
Yes.
Villar's
right.
here for another year.
Yeah, Villar and
Gibbons
Mancini,
here for another couple of years.
If you wait till the offseason, you can trade them to 29 teams.
Yeah. I do. I mean, the guy I'm rooting that we traded to Villar, just because, I don't know. I feel like Gibbons has more of an upside. You can get a bigger deal for him. But Villar, I'm kind of done with. We've seen what Villar can do. He's good but not great. Let's get a couple 17-year-olds and kind of move on from Villar.
And it makes room for, like, Hanser Alberto to play every day or something. Or what?
Yeah, maybe bring up. I know Jace Peterson's tearing it up.
Yeah, he was player of the week. I saw that. Yeah. True. Or maybe trade him. Because he's not long-term plan either.
No, none of these guys are long-term plans. But I guess get more 17-year-old guys for our 2014 team.
Is there one player on the team now that's part of the plan?
I mean, you could argue John Means and Trey Mancini are the two that you can make an argument for.
But they could also be part of the plan as in to trade them and get things. Those are the only guys who are young enough to be here when the Orioles start winning.
And I mean, not just young enough, who are actually good players. Because we have some other young guys.
True.
Like, I don't think Alberto or Nunez, I think they're relatively young guys. Dwight Smith is a young guy.
Right, but they're not part of the plan.
Good enough.
Yes.
Yeah, like maybe Dwight Smith will surprise us and he'll turn out to be really good. I'm not sure.
Right, same with Richie Martin.
But yeah, like Richie Martin has a lot of potential.
Maybe he'll learn to hit the ball.
But yeah, if the guy can hit 240, man, he can be part of the future at 240. That's all you got to do. 240.
All right. Well, the music's been playing for 15 minutes.
Really?
No,
I was waiting for the music because I don't hear it.
No, I haven't hit it. I'm going to put it in post because I've had to do a lot of editing on this episode. So it'll go in at the end.
All right. I'm telling you, that middle commentary when you go to get the door for the plumber, you might want to leave that in there. I got some good stuff in there.
Yeah, when the plumber interrupted us 15 minutes into the show, I'll take a look at that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll put it out as my 336 Daily tomorrow. Just your commentary.
Yeah. Out of context, I think that would work well.
Yes, definitely.
All right, boys and girls. Well, listen to Josh's daily podcast. I just subscribed to it. You should listen to it. It's good.
I think it's getting
covers
better.
Your daily Orioles talks. Yeah, I haven't listened to them all, but I listened to the most recent one. And I thought it was good. I like the little break in between. You cover several different topics. So that was good.
Yeah.
So subscribe to 336 Daily. I did have to search a couple things to find it. Like it didn't come up.
Well, you're just not
when
that
I searched
smart.
on iTunes.
What did you search?
Section 336.
That's the problem.
At first I searched Section 336.
Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know if I can tag it with that, but yeah, it's not called Section 336. That'd be like if I complained that I typed in, football, and the Ravens podcast didn't come up immediately.
No, I thought your podcast was called Section 336 Daily.
No, it's just 336 Daily. Should I put the section on there? It's always been 336 Daily, I thought.
I don't know. But then, after that, After that, I searched 336 Daily, and then I found it.
Imagine that.
So it took me 2 searches.
Yeah. Well, that's because of you, not because of me. You just didn't know the name of the show.
Yeah.
Because it's on Google, Spotify. Okay. It's on everything. Apple.
Yeah. Well, I got it on iTunes, and I subscribed. I haven't written a review yet because I got to hear a couple more episodes before I feel comfortable writing a review.
There's like 15 episodes
but don't
out
worry,
there.
I will. I'm
going
to list a couple more for. Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. Check us out on other local social media sites.
Hit up Bert and tell him to get back on the show.
Oh, yeah. Josh, you're in Florida. Bert's in Florida.
Yeah.
Maybe you could get him on the show or something.
Apparently, maybe so. I'd have to drive to him. He always has an excuse. He said tonight's theme park night. I don't know what that means. I mean, I guess it means he's going to a theme park.
Well, I mean, if you could.
But.
Well, yeah. That's true.
Some of us go to Florida and work.
Week. We'll do our best.
Yeah, we'll try.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening, boys and girls. And as always, go O's.
Thank you for listening to the Section 336 podcast. Please go to iTunes and Facebook for all complaints or the occasional compliment. If I were you, I would not take any baseball advice from these guys. Josh and Matt were raised by an Orioles-obsessed father, and Bert fell in love with Don Mattingly. He has a thing for mustaches.